Well, g'day everyone and welcome back to the channel. This week we're in Darwin, so go and get yourself a cold drink, get your feet up, come and join us for the adventure. Hi, I'm Steve.
And I'm Alison.
We decided a couple of years ago that we'd work hard and save all of our money and start living life on our own terms.
So we bought a caravan and hit the road on a trip for two all around Australia.
So why not come and join us every week for our adventures? Well, as we said in the intro, here we are, we're in Darwin. We're staying at a place called Shady Camp, which is in Howard Springs. I found this one on Wiki Camps. I've got to say, you have to be absolutely just jagged to get yourself a spot here. John, the host, charges a flat rate of $300 a week, power and water. You're literally 20 minutes outside of Darwin from here, but I'll show you our site. So here we are here, just tucked away in the corner. Just over here behind us, that's a toilet and shower block that's inside of there, and it only caters for a couple of vans. So as I said, you just got to be lucky. I rang him about a month ago when I saw it on Wiki Camps and thought, why not give it a try? Anyway, he said to me, yeah, you're lucky, you've got a spot, but yeah, if you want to stay here, make sure you ring well in advance, and he's only open during the dry season, not during the wet. So I've just come inside the van because that's where we always find Alison. She's busy away at work at the moment. I've got to say, she's going to work hard the next couple of days because we're going to do a fair bit of touring around, aren't we, Al?
We are, yes. And it's coming up to end of financial year, so
yeah,
always busy.
It's like the accountant's birthday or something she gets this time. Anyway, she's always happy.
No,
all right.
She isn't.
What do you think of Shady Camp, Al?
I think it's quite nice actually. It's a real little gem. We're close to a lot of things, or a lot of areas, but at the same time we're just far enough away from them as well not to be impacted by what's happening.
Yeah, exactly right. We the V8 supercars are on here in Darwin this weekend, and we can't hear them, but we know we're about 16 k's out of town where we are now, aren't we? Somewhere in there, around 16 k's, 20-minute drive, or something like that. Alison's calculating because she knows I'm not correct. We're probably closer to about, I don't know, we're probably 30 k's out of town, but whatever it is, it's a quick drive in because, as you all know, the speed limit up here in the bloody Northern Territory is 130 k an hour. Well, not on these streets, but near these streets. So
yes, and it's not like say Sydney and Brisbane where 30 k's out. It's quite highly residential. So yeah, it's just a very quick drive into Palmerston and Darwin City itself. So
yeah. So anyway, we're going to use this as our base for the next week while we're here. We're going to stay here 7 nights, and we'll get out. We're going to check out a number of things around town. We've got Berry Springs, Howard Springs. We'll get out to Humpty Doo. We'll go into town. We'll check out Mindil Beach markets. Go around all the waterfront. We'll do all those sorts of things before we start heading south again towards Litchfield. But anyway, come and join us for this week's episode. We really think you're going to enjoy it. If you've never been to Darwin before, we'll try and give you the best that we can. Try and show you a couple of things you mightn't have seen before. Whatever that is, we'll find it. All right. We're just over at the Dudley Point Lookout, and this is just a view back into Darwin. This is quite a nice place to come and visit. It's very relaxing out here. The water is just turquoise blue today. It's beautiful, isn't it, Al?
It is beautiful.
And because the V8 supercars is on, there's no one out here, is there?
That's very true. Can hear them.
Yeah, we can definitely hear them, but yeah, just can't see anybody out here, which is great. So we're going to head down to the old Fanny Bay Gaol. You can do a tour around it for free, and so we'll go down, we'll check it out and see what it looks like. Come down to the Fanny Bay Gaol. It's a free tour that you can do. There's a guy who meets you at the front. It's only open Thursdays through to Sundays from 10 till 2, but they give you a map on the place to walk through, and you can also do an audio tour on your phone, just to let you know. And as you go through, you'll just find some little audio markers like that one. It tells you which one to tune into. One of the first things you notice when you come into the cell block, you walk through the cell doors, they're very, very narrow. And then you come inside, and they're very simple, toilet and hand basin. This operated right up till 1979. I'm not sure how many prisoners that they had inside each individual cell, but just looking at some of the marks on the wall, it looks like there was bunks fitted here at some point. I want to say there was at least 4, possibly more in each one of these. Would have been a barbaric place to live, regardless of why you came here. And there was no fans or air conditioning or any of those sorts of things. And from what we've read in the tour so far, even in Darwin prisons today, they still don't have air conditioning through the prisons. As you walk through cell block A, you can see a lot of art on the walls. This is all done by prisoners who were in the jail. Some of it's very, very good. The next part of the prison we come to on the tour is what was originally designed to hold sick prisoners, but in the end it became juveniles that were locked in here, and they've done that for a short period of time in the 70s or the 60s, yeah?
In the 70s.
During the 70s, and then after the prison had closed, they also used this for Vietnamese refugees.
So the juveniles were just, in general, they housed the juveniles, but in the 70s it was for the Vietnamese refugees.
Okay. The next section of the prison is the female section. This was built in 1928. Up until 1928, the females were housed in the in the Fanny Bay, just normal jail. It's believed they were probably housed in the jailer's quarters, but according to the information I read here on the board, that was keeping the matron at an abnormally high level of tension. So in 28, a separate cell block was built, and it was this one right here. Although this has been modernised a couple of times over the decades, you can see straight away the cells are bigger. Once again, I have no idea how many ladies they housed inside of these cells when it was a functioning prison. I suggest it was quite a few. There's also a garden that was tended here for flowers and vegetables by the ladies or the inmates of the prison. Here's an interesting gravestone for Thomas the Cat, who was loved by the female section. He died on the 28th of the 10th, 1968. This is the solitary confinement cells here at the Fanny Bay Gaol. What a shithole this would have been. And apparently these exercise yards at the front here, these weren't built until into the 60s or 70s. So here's the cell. And they were put here obviously if they were considered a danger to themselves or the other prisoners. They describe it as hell on earth. This is the old toilet block here at the jail. This wasn't sanitised or with flushing toilets that like we know today until very, very late in the piece. Up until then they'd use work parties to take the buckets down to the beach and clean them out down there. I'm not 1000% sure, but I've seen something like this at old swimming pools and when I was in the army and some of the older places that we went to. And these sorts of wells like this, they used to fill them full of Condy's crystals and you had to rinse your feet as you went through. And I think it was to try and cut down the tinea or whatever foot funguses were around. But yeah, this is the old shower block. We've come across the C block, and this was the newest style in the prison. I can see about the heat and those sorts of things. So they started these new open walled cell blocks. This is cell block C. So you can see here all the walls have been opened up, and this one actually has, or is laid out the way it would have been at the time the prison was operational. So you can see there's 3 bunks here. There's actually one over there, it's a 4th one. And in the photo that's on the wall before you come in, that shows you that there was 4 bunks in each one of these cells, but it allowed the prisoners to talk, allowed airflow through the prison, and they did house a lot of lower security prisoners in these sorts of facilities. You can bet your bottom dollars a few fellas stood here over the years, but looking at these tools, plotting their escape. The stone building that you can see was the infirmary, but it was only used as an infirmary after 1952, up until 1952. This is where they housed the gallows, and they hung the last 2 people in here in 1952, and I'll tell you about those a little bit later on. Alright, so according to the documented executions in the Northern Territory, 11 people have been hung since 1893 up to 1952, but 6 of those hangings were done here, or executions were done here at Fanny Bay. Here's the gallows. Like they were the holding cells, that where you would have come and spent your last hours before you were executed. It's just a short walk into the, we call it the death chamber, I suppose. Well, that's an American terminology for it, but yeah, in through there to the gallows. And the last two guys to be hung here were these two fellas, John Notenby, I think is the way you pronounce his name, and Jerry Cousy, 19 and 21-year-olds, who were found guilty of the murder of a taxi driver, and they were sentenced to death, and they were the last two to be hung here in 1952. The cement area that you can see here in front of you once housed the laundry block, but was blown away during Cyclone Tracy. It was later used with demountable buildings, but they've all been removed now. So the writing was on the wall for Fanny Bay Gaol. After Cyclone Tracy come through, it lost its front fence, the roofs off maximum security, the female cells, the roof off the infirmary. The infirmary was where the gallows were housed after they closed down in the 50s. But yeah, that was the end of the jail, and then after that they started to move it all out, and I think by about 1979 or so, it was all moved out to Berrima. So that was Fanny Bay Gaol. What did you think, Al?
It was interesting. It was very different. It was good to see how, I guess, over history the area has been used, housing prisoners and during the wartime.
Yeah, certainly. It's well worth a visit if you come down here. But we're going to head up to Lake Alexander, have a bit of lunch.
Ooh.
We just stopped off at Lake Alexander for a little bit of lunch. What a beautiful place this is, Al.
It's wonderful.
There's a great big swimming area here. You can come down. It's quite safe for everybody. They make sure that it's croc and shark free for starters. They also filter all the water that comes in, so there's no marine stingers in here either. So it's a great spot to bring the family down. There's plenty of wood barbecues,
tables and chairs.
Yeah.
There is a playground to die for. I think there's everything you could swing, climb, slide.
Yeah.
And goodness knows what else to want.
Exactly. The Lake Dun. We've been there, that was a sculpture truck. The Lake Alexander area, or day use area, is located in the East Point Reserve, which is a beautiful place in itself. It's a great drive. Come for a walk, come for a jog, come for a bike ride.
Yes.
Isn't it?
It is. They make wonderful use of the areas here in the NT. That's one thing I will comment on. It's quite good.
Yeah, so we're going to head up to Point Dudley now. We're going to check out the old gun emplacements and stuff that are up there and show you those. Then we'll go and find something else that's free to do in town, which is the museum and the art gallery. So we'll head down there. It looks like it's going to be a pretty good walk around that as well. So just over behind us is the old artillery base from World War II here in Darwin. Obviously Darwin had been bombed a couple of times during the war, and I'm sure this would have been one of the targets. It was part of our front line too, I suppose, because it's not that far away to New Guinea from here.
No, it's not.
Yeah, but you can't go into it, so you can come out, you can look around. There's just parklands and stuff like that. It's a free activity to do here in Darwin. It's interesting, but there's no information about it. It's very, very hard to determine.
Yeah, that's a bit I found a bit disappointing. I would have liked some information on it so I could learn a little bit more about what it was and what its role was, and what happened during that period of time.
Yeah, I'll cut in a picture of the information board. It's good to see the information board tradition continues. Like all the old military bases that we visited, so like up on Thursday Island and Fort Scratchley, I think the old artillery base down in Manly, and this one here in Darwin, they're always in beautiful locations. Check this one out. That's beautiful, isn't it, Al?
Amazing. It's really nice. It's very inviting.
Oh, yeah. It's certainly inviting. No information here again, but I'm going to have a crack at this one. I reckon this is an old magazine. Magazine's where they used to store the ammunition, and the only reason I'm saying that is because this building is half buried into the ground. And there's two of them. There's another one that's just down over there. If you decide to head out to Dudley Point, make sure you get a photo of this sign as you go into the car park. It gives you a bit of a map to show you what ruins you're looking at on the ground. This is the site of the Darwin Rock Sitters Club. I'd never heard of it before, but it's a club that sat out here on the rocks. They've done it for a few days. They've been world champions, world record holders. They don't compete anymore, but they still come out here every Saturday and sit out on the rocks. Good on them. The next stop on our tour is the Darwin Museum and Art Gallery. It was a fascinating look back through time and the history of Darwin. We really enjoyed the Cyclone Tracy exhibit. It was absolutely amazing. Check out this steel telegraph pole. This was bent in half by the force of the winds. Unbelievable. The other thing they have inside the exhibit is some sections of some houses exactly as they found them in the streets around Darwin. There's a maritime section which has some history of the Darwin maritime industry, including whalers, pearl luggers, boats that have been confiscated from refugees or illegal boat people trying to get into Australia, and Sweetheart the crocodile. Sweetheart was 780 kilos and just over 5 metres long. That's a monster. Here's a quote from Bruce Simpson, who was a retired drover. He said it was no place for cream puffs. Could you imagine if your boss did that here today? Alright, so Darwin Museum, I thought it was quite good. It's nice to walk around. Great Cyclone Tracy exhibition in there. You can go and have a look at some relics from the actual cyclone itself, plus a lot of information, old footage, newspaper headlines. It was very, very good to go and see and have a think about. I think it was about 11 years old when it blew through one Christmas, and down south obviously we felt absolutely nothing, but it's not until you come to a town like this you realise the devastation that it had on the community and the infrastructure and all the other things that are associated with that. What do you think of the library?
Yeah, it was quite enjoyable.
It's called the museum, the library, but yes, the museum.
It was quite good. It was interesting. Lots of information. So yeah, it was an interesting way to spend a few hours.
All right, so we're going to head down to Mindil Beach and check out the markets. We've had a quick change of plans. Here's an important tip. Check Google or check something, but make sure you get your days right, because we come down to the Mindil Beach markets and we thought they'd be on because it's Saturday night, but they're not on Saturday nights. So, or they're not on this Saturday night anyway, but they are on tomorrow night, so we'll come back down tomorrow. We'll show you all that a little bit later on. We thought we'd come down to the Esplanade here in Darwin itself and show you a bit of a look around. We're going to go and have a look at a big World War II monument here, and then we'll go and find some other things to see. The parklands here in Darwin on the Esplanade are very, very nice. They run the entire length of the waterfront for about 2 or 3 kilometres. You can see there's plenty of green grass, nice track that you can walk along, run along, ride your cycle along, plenty of shady trees, lots of seats just to sit down and relax. All in front of this magnificent harbour at the front here. It's unbelievable. It's a beautiful place to be, particularly today. It's such a sunny, bright day. Check it out, I tell you what, you come up north, the colour of the ocean just changes. It's bloody beautiful. Come down to the World War II Memorial, which has heaps of information on the bombing of Darwin, lots of personal accounts of people who were here on the day, and lots of plaques to commemorate those who lost their lives during those bombings from 1942 through to 1943. Here's an interesting fact. This cenotaph, which has stood here since just after World War I, was here on the day that obviously when Darwin was bombed, and 2 800-pound bombs went off in very close proximity to it, or near the government house, but it managed to survive. So this afternoon we come down to the Mindil Beach markets in Darwin. This is the sunset market. So you come down here, you can walk through the markets, get something to eat, then go out on the beach and watch the sunset, which is absolutely spectacular here. I saw it maybe about 10, 15 years ago. The markets look a little bit thinner on the ground than what I remember them, but the food smells absolutely delicious. What do you think, Al?
It's very nice. I'm enjoying the smells. I'm looking forward to some food.
I'm going to have to start filming more on the phone, I think, because she has to sit a little bit closer to me when we do that. So there's a plus in everything.
Sure.
All right, let's go and get something to eat, and then we'll head out on the beach and watch the sunset. So we've come down onto the beach now. We'll sit down here to watch the sunset. The beauty of this is the 55,000 other people that are down here with you, but everybody comes down and has a great time. Let's quickly pan the camera in. Just a couple of people coming down for sunset tonight. Look at the people just coming down the pathways to get on here. This is full on. I remember when I come here last time there was a few, there was nothing like this. Well, that's it for this week's episode. Ali and I really hope that you enjoyed it.
Come and join us next week. We continue our adventure in Darwin and we visit the beautiful Howard Springs. We drop in at the Royal Flying Doctor Service, go for a walk around the Darwin waterfront and check out these amazing tunnels. If you like today's episode, make sure you give us a like before you leave. If you've got any questions or comments, hit us up in the comments section. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. And if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please consider doing so because it really helps our channel grow. Anyway, you guys have yourselves a great week. We'll see you next Saturday. Bye-bye.